I was standing at the hotel check-in desk when the bellhop leaned in close, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sir, you need to check your medication. Tonight. Before you take anything." Then he was gone, melting back into the lobby crowd before I could even process what he'd said. My name is Robert Mitchell. I'm 67 years old, and until that moment in the Grand Lakeside Resort lobby, I thought I was just a retired accountant enjoying a long overdue vacation with my grandson and his wife. Let me back up. My wife Eleanor passed away 3 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. Quick and brutal. We'd been married 42 years. After she died, I threw myself into my hobbies. Restored a 1967 Mustang. Took up woodworking. Anything to fill the silence in our house. Our grandson Marcus, our only grandchild, started visiting more often. At first, I thought it was concern. Sweet kid, always had been. But then he brought Vanessa. Vanessa was Marcus's wife of 2 years. Charming, always smiling, always asking about my investments, my retirement accounts, my health. I brushed it off as natural curiosity. She worked in finance, after all. "Grandpa, you've been cooped up too long," Marcus had said 6 weeks ago, showing up at my door unannounced. "Vanessa and I want to take you somewhere special. Our treat, a week at the Grand Lakeside Resort. Spa treatments, golf, the works. You deserve it." I'd protested. Of course. Too expensive, too much trouble. But Marcus insisted. "You raised Dad right, and he raised me right. Let us do this for you, please." How could I say no to that? The resort was magnificent. Sprawling grounds along Lake Michigan. 5-star restaurants. A world-class spa. Our rooms were on the 8th floor, connected by an interior door. "So we can check on you, make sure you're comfortable," Vanessa had explained with that perfect smile. The first 2 days were wonderful. We golfed, had nice dinners. I even got a massage that made my 70-year-old back feel 20 years younger. But on the third morning, things started feeling put off. I'd been taking blood pressure medication for years. Same prescription, same routine. But that morning, after taking my pills, I felt dizzy, nauseous, not terribly sick, just wrong. I mentioned it at breakfast. "Probably just overdid it at the golf course yesterday, Grandpa," Marcus said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Why don't you rest today? Vanessa and I have some business calls to make anyway." I spent the day in bed, feeling progressively worse. By evening, I was running a low-grade fever. Marcus brought my medication to my room personally. "Don't forget your evening pills, Grandpa. Gotta stay on schedule." Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying little moments. The way Vanessa had offered to organize my medications at the start of the trip, transferring them from their pharmacy bottles to a daily pill organizer. "It's easier this way, Robert. Trust me." The way Marcus had seemed nervous when I mentioned updating my will last month. The hushed conversation I'd overheard between them the first night. Something about timing and insurance. I told myself I was being paranoid, grief-addled. But then came the bellhop's warning. His name was David Chen, I learned later. 23 years old, working his way through nursing school. He'd been delivering fresh towels to our floor when he'd overheard something that made him risk his job to warn a stranger. After his cryptic message, I went upstairs, locked my door, and examined my pill organizer under the bathroom light. My blood pressure pills were white, round, with a specific imprint. But in the organizer, nestled among the legitimate pills, were 2 tablets that didn't quite match. Close, but not identical. Same size, same color, but the imprint was different. Too faint, like a poor copy. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and searched the imprint number. What I found made my blood run cold. Digitalis. An overdose could mimic a heart attack in elderly patients, especially those already on blood pressure medication. I sat on the bathroom floor for 20 minutes, just breathing, processing. My grandson, my only grandson, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike, to fish, to change a tire. He was trying to kill me. No, not trying, planning, methodically, with his wife. I thought about confronting them. I thought about calling the police, but I'm an accountant. I've spent 50 years dealing with numbers, with evidence, with building airtight cases. I needed proof. I needed to understand the full scope before I acted. So I pretended to take my evening medication, palmed the pills, flushed them, then I waited. Around midnight, I heard the connecting doors lock click. They had a key, of course. I lay perfectly still, breathing deeply, feigning sleep. Through barely open eyes, I watched Vanessa's silhouette enter my room, cross to my bedside table, and swap my water glass for one she'd brought. She stood there for a moment, watching me breathe, then left. I didn't touch the water. In the morning, I poured it into a Ziploc bag I'd gotten from housekeeping. Evidence. At breakfast, Marcus seemed disappointed to see me looking relatively healthy. "Still feeling off, Grandpa?" "A bit better, actually," I said, watching his face fall slightly. "Though I think I'll take it easy again today. Maybe just read by the pool." "Good idea," Vanessa said quickly. "Rest is important, and don't forget your medication." I nodded, smiling. "Of course. Can't miss those pills." That afternoon, I told them I was going to the resort spa. Instead, I went to the business center and started making calls. First, to my attorney. Then to a private investigator I'd known professionally for years. Then to David Chen, the bellhop, who agreed to meet me in a quiet corner of the parking garage. "I didn't know if you'd believe me," David said, his relief palpable. "I was delivering room service to the suite next to yours 2 nights ago. The walls are thin. I heard them talking about timing your medication to align with the resort's schedule. About how a heart attack at a luxury resort wouldn't raise suspicions. How your life insurance and estate would solve all their financial problems. I'm studying to be a nurse. I know what medication interactions can do. I had to warn you." I thanked him, gave him $500 from my wallet. "You may have saved my life. I need you to do one more thing for me. Can you be discreet?" He nodded. I spent the next 2 days playing the role of the trusting grandfather, while my team worked behind the scenes. The private investigator uncovered their debt. $50,000 in credit card bills, a failed business venture, 2 mortgages. They were drowning, and I was their life raft. My estate was worth nearly $2 million, and Marcus was the sole beneficiary. My attorney helped me arrange something else. A quiet meeting with the resort manager, the head of security, and a local detective who owed me a favor from years ago when I'd helped untangle his father's estate during a fraud case. On the 5th day of our vacation, I asked Marcus and Vanessa to join me for a special dinner. "I want to talk to you both about something important," I said. "About the future." They exchanged a look, excitement, anticipation. They thought I was going to discuss my will, maybe even sign something right there. We met in a private dining room. Beautiful space, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake. Marcus and Vanessa arrived dressed up, Vanessa carrying a folder. "We brought some documents we thought might be helpful, Grandpa," she said, "for discussion purposes." I smiled. "Actually, I have some documents too." That's when Detective Morrison and 2 uniformed officers entered. The look on their faces, shock, confusion, then fear. "Marcus Mitchell and Vanessa Mitchell," Detective Morrison said, "you're being detained for questioning regarding attempted murder and elder abuse." "What, Grandpa? What is this?" Marcus's voice cracked. I stood, my hands surprisingly steady. "This is about the digitalis tablets you've been putting in my medication. About the life insurance policies you've been reviewing. About your conversations planning my death, which were overheard and documented by resort staff." Vanessa went pale. "You can't prove anything." "Actually, I can." I nodded to the detective, who laid out the evidence. The pills, tested and confirmed as digitalis. The poisoned water, also tested. David Chen's testimony. Security footage of Vanessa entering my room at midnight. Phone records showing searches for digitalis overdose symptoms and how long for estate to settle from Vanessa's device on the resort's Wi-Fi. But the final piece, the one that made Marcus's face crumble, was the recording. "The resort has an excellent security system," I explained, "including audio monitoring in common areas for guest safety. Your conversation in the hallway outside my room on the second night was quite illuminating. Should I play it? Marcus shook his head, tears streaming down his face. Grandpa, please. I'm sorry. We were desperate. The debt, the pressure. I never wanted. I didn't think. You didn't think I'd find out? Or you didn't think you were really going to kill me? My voice was colder than I'd ever heard it. Which is it, Marcus? He couldn't answer. The legal proceedings took months. My attorney was ruthless. Marcus and Vanessa initially tried to fight the charges, but the evidence was overwhelming. Eventually, they accepted a plea deal. Vanessa got 8 years for attempted murder and conspiracy. Marcus got 6, with credit for cooperation and showing remorse. The day of sentencing, Marcus asked to speak to me. Against my attorney's advice, I agreed. We sat across from each other in a meeting room at the courthouse. He looked thin, broken, nothing like the boy I'd raised. I don't expect forgiveness, he started. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know, it wasn't me. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. Vanessa, she. The debt was worse than I told you. We were about to lose everything. She kept saying you were old, you'd lived a good life, that the money would just go to taxes anyway. She made it sound logical, necessary, and I was weak. I listened. I helped. I'm not blaming her. I'm just explaining, not excusing. I sat silent for a long moment. You know what hurts most, Marcus? Not that you tried to kill me. Not even that you chose money over family. It's that you thought so little of me that you believed I wouldn't have helped you if you'd just asked. I would have paid off every penny of your debt. We could have worked through it together, but you never gave me the chance. He sobbed then. Great, heaving sobs. I know. God, I know. I'm so sorry, Grandpa. I stood to leave. I hope you find peace in prison, Marcus. I really do. Because you're going to have a lot of time to think about what you threw away. That was 3 years ago. Last month, I received a letter from Marcus. He's due for parole next year. In the letter, he didn't ask for money or forgiveness. He just told me about the education programs he'd completed in prison, about volunteering to help other inmates prepare for their GEDs. He said he'd been meeting with a therapist, working through his guilt and the toxic relationship patterns that led him to Vanessa. He said he understood if I never wanted to see him again, but he wanted me to know he was trying to become someone I might have been proud of once. I haven't responded yet. I don't know if I will. I did change my will. Most of my estate now goes to a foundation I established for elder abuse prevention and awareness. A portion goes to David Chen's nursing school scholarship fund, and a small portion is set aside in a trust for Marcus, accessible only if he completes his parole successfully and maintains 5 years of clean living and steady employment. Not because I've forgiven him, not even because I trust him, but because Eleanor would have wanted me to leave that door open, however slightly. I still stay in nice hotels sometimes. I travel when the mood strikes. But I manage my own medications now, keep them locked up, and I pay attention to warning signs, both pharmaceutical and human. And I never, ever take a bellhop's warning lightly, because sometimes the strangest interventions come from the most unexpected places. David Chen risked his job to save my life. He saw something wrong and acted, even though it would have been easier, safer, to mind his own business. That kind of courage, that kind of basic human decency, is rarer than it should be. I think about what would have happened if David hadn't spoken up. If I'd taken those pills, drunk that water. I'd have died in that beautiful resort room, and Marcus and Vanessa would have cried convincing tears and collected my estate and maybe, eventually, forgotten I'd ever existed beyond a financial solution to their problems. Instead, I'm still here, 70 years old now, still working on my Mustang, still doing woodworking in my garage, still living, and Marcus is still serving his time, learning, hopefully, that some prices are too high to pay, no matter how desperate you become. I often wonder if he thinks about that bellhop too, the stranger whose warning unraveled their perfect plan. The 23-year-old nursing student who proved that doing the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it costs you, is still worth it. Because in the end, That's what separates us from people like who Marcus became. Not intelligence or opportunity or even desperation. It's the choice to do right even when wrong would be easier. I hope he learns that lesson someday. I really do. But whether he does or not, I'll keep living my life, one day at a time, grateful for second chances and the kindness of strangers. And I'll never forget the whispered warning that saved my life. Sir, you need to check your medication tonight before you take anything. Sometimes that's all it takes. One person caring enough to speak up, one moment of courage, one chance to choose differently. I'm glad I got mine.